Hi, my name is Eduardo Vargas, and today I want to talk about communication and more specifically the way we communicate with the people we have relationships with. I'm sure you've noticed that the way you communicate with strangers is going to be completely different than how you talk to the people you know. And when you get to know somebody, as you're getting to know them, you tend to develop your own style of communicating with just them that's completely different from anybody else. And yeah, as your relationship grows and you guys become closer and closer, then this will become more true and you'll have more ways of communicating with them, including some that are just completely nonverbal. Nobody's the same. Like, no two people are the same. And we're gonna meet different types of people and we're gonna make different types of relationships with each of those people based off them. We create these unique ways of communicating with people, with with becoming closer with them, and just our both personality types, I guess, and just our ways of expression come together, and that creates how we talk to one another. Just from my experience over the course of my life, like these sort of ways of expression, I guess, with people are this private language. It just comes naturally over the course of your relationships. Like it happens with your friends that you make, and especially with romantic partners that you meet. You can't just force it to happen. You can't force it on anybody. It just happens naturally over the course of your relationship. Over This happens with my friends mostly as inside jokes, like that only we understand and we find hilarious. And but anybody who just from the outside looking in just thinks we're weird and just thinks it's like it doesn't make any sense. Like my friends and I, like just to insult each other, like friends normally do. We just tell each other, "Oh, you're so cool," or "Oh, you're so dope," but it's as an insult, and only we know that. And I guess anybody else just thinks we're complimenting each other. And just like it's the same thing basically, but instead of calling something stupid or dumb, we call it interesting. But we usually say very sarcastically, and we understand what we really mean, but others wouldn't understand because they're not a part of it. So that's a good example of an inside thing, a unique thing to us and our friend group. It goes deeper than just that. Like I have ways I communicate with each of my friends. Like one of my closest friends, for him, anytime we talk, we only have deep conversations. Like we don't joke around, and we're still really close friends because of it. We know a lot about each other too. On the other hand, I have another friend who, like, anytime we talk, it's only jokes, and we're goofballs together. But we're still just as close as my one other friend, even though we've never really had a serious conversation in our lives. With my girlfriend, however, I've noticed that, from my experience at least, that with romantic relationships, it goes a lot deeper than that, and it's a lot more complex than it is with just friends, anybody else. Most of our like secret ways of communicating with each other is not even verbal. We don't have to say anything. We just we instantly know what each other's thinking. It can be just touch, or it can be the way we look at each other. For example, uh, my girlfriend knows when I'm getting a little too overwhelmed in a situation, whether it be an argument I'm having with someone or homework, and she'll like she'll grab my leg, she'll like rub it in a certain way, and I know that it's her telling me to stay calm and that I need to stay relaxed, and I'll get through it. And she doesn't have to tell me any of that. I just know on the spot what she means. I can also tell how she's feeling and her emotions just off of her eyes and her look, her eyelids. I no matter like if she could be smiling and she could look completely happy, but I can see it in her eyes when she's upset, and she can do the same with me. No words have to be shared between us for us to know how the other's feeling. I think that overall, that it could be very beneficial in a relationship when you have secret ways of communicating with each other and your own secret language, if you will, with a certain person. Definitely enhance your relationship. When I have my own little thing with a person, like our own phrase or catchphrase with one another, or handshake, or any of that, it makes me feel closer to that. It makes me feel closer to that person, and it makes me feel like there's someone like dear to me. One thing I have with my girlfriend is she doesn't like when I'm playing video games, but if she ever calls me or she's with me and she asks me what I'm doing, and I tell her, oh, nothing much, and she'll know that that means that I'm playing video games, because I know she won't like that, so I don't want to tell her I'm playing video games. So I just tell her nothing much, and she instantly knows, and she usually just goes away. Whenever this happens, I usually get like a grin. I smile. I get happy because I know that it's our little thing, our unique thing, and it was one of our first secret phrases that we ever made with each other, like weeks into our relationship. And the same thing occurs with my friends, like our inside jokes or any of our catchphrases. They make me feel like we're brothers, like we're really close. And I just think, especially when you can communicate with somebody non-verbally, then that's a really big sign that you're really close with them. And that's why I think it's a positive to have your own personal communication styles, especially non-verbal with people, because it makes you feel closer with them. I've noticed with people that everyone has a different way of expressing themselves, and I think when those two different forms of expression come together, it's when those secret languages or ways of, or unique ways of talking to a certain person are created. In my relationship, for example, my partner and I are fairly different. I'm a much more physical person than she is, and I like to show affection mostly through physicality, like with hugging or just through like touching or grabbing her leg. I like to show my affection mostly through touch, and that's how I tell her that I love her is through like a touch. Like I hold her, I hug her, I grab her, hold her hand. My girlfriend is she's nowhere near as physical as I am, and she likes affection, but not she doesn't express herself physically as much as I do. At first, this was a little challenging, and we would butt heads occasionally about the subject, and over time we learned to compromise. Now we still have a good amount of physicality. We still hold hands and all that. We show affection by like hugging or pinching or that sort of thing. We also learn to show love in other ways. Like we can outright say that we love each other. Or one thing we've done is we just hold a heart out to one another, and it's our way of saying I love you. And I also noticed that also over the course of our relationship, as we became closer, I talk to her like completely different how I talk to anybody else. I communicate with some people similarly to each other, but with her, it's completely different from anybody. Like I use a baby voice sometimes, and it's something that's developed over time, and we have our own way of talking. And people would probably think we're like really weird if they ever heard us talking in private. And yeah, we all communicate differently, and like when we come together with other people and our communication, like our styles clash together, and in a good way, it's when we create our own style of communication with them and our own secret language with them. Really strengthen your bond with someone, whether it's a friend or your significant other or a family member, even, or anybody. It's You'll just know you're closer with them when you have your own secret phrases, inside jokes, looks you give each other, and just your own unique way to communicate.